Today's gospel reading is from the Gospel of John, chapter 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things came into being through him, and without him, not one thing came into being. What has come into being in him was life, and the life was the light of all people. Here ends the reading. Beginnings are important. Where we start a story shapes its meaning. Christmas isn't the beginning. Christmas is a continuation of an eternal story. That's where the Gospel of John begins. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. John invites us, right from the start of his account of Jesus, into a cosmological imagination. He doesn't start by orienting us to a particular geographic place. He doesn't identify a particular intended audience either. Instead of zooming way in on the details of Jesus' birth, John zooms way out. It's like John leads us, his hearers, out into the woods on a clear night and then says, "Look up to a sky full of stars." The story starts here. The Gospel of John is the story of Jesus' life, death, and resurrection, and it's also the story of the birth of creativity and humanity and existence. Interestingly, for a book about Jesus, John doesn't even use Jesus' earthly name until verse 17 of chapter 1. Instead, he refers to Jesus as the Word, or in the original Greek, logos. Right off the bat, John invites his hearers into a new way of hearing, thinking, and being. Perhaps we might benefit from a similar reorientation to the world around us. Can we zoom way out from the dynamics of this complicated, challenging year for a moment and find our way back to the beginning of the beginning? Can this Christmas season be an invitation to look up and look around in a new way? What might we notice from a different perch? John, in these first few verses of the gospel, describes an infinite, eternal thread that runs through all existence. He calls this thread logos, the Word. Everything is woven into being through this thread, and nothing that exists is outside the Word. He says that the Word is life, and this life is a light for all humanity. Christmas, the story of Jesus' birth, isn't the beginning. It's a continuation of a story that stretches all the way backward and all the way forward. Christmas is an important chapter of an ongoing story of a God who brings possibility into being. The way John describes logos is not like a traditional commentary on a human person. There is no reference to the size or stature or status of logos. Instead, John describes logos like a force. Logos is at work in every moment of every day, in every life. This is where John starts the story of Jesus. Before there was an infant in a manger, there was a Word, and that Word changed everything. That Word brought and still brings everything into being. People of God, as you look up and look around, as you look in and look out, what do you notice? Where have you experienced the Word that is the light of all humanity? 2020, for all its wounds and complications, has also been a year in which the light continued to shine. We see things that we didn't see before. We feel things that we didn't feel before. It's hard and it aches. There's tension, there's injustice, there's hurt in our individual households and in our families, in our churches, and in our world. We all know deep down that 2020 isn't the beginning of the story of all this brokenness. The heaviness of this year didn't just appear when the first Minnesotan contracted coronavirus, or when the mandatory shutdowns began in March. A lot of what's hard and broken and uncomfortable is systemic and all tangled together. Political turmoil, racial injustice, economic inequity. 2020 isn't the beginning of these stories. The Word, the light, has empowered us this year to see more clearly what was already there. And this seeing equips us to act and live in new ways. Noticing what has been illuminated this year has given many a chance to reimagine how we do life, how we do church, how we spend money, and how we are together. Congregations have said yes to worshiping and living together in new ways. People have said yes to being family and loving neighbor in new ways. We won't stop here. We will continue on, and we will do so knowing that this moment is an opportunity to practice what the Word, the Logos, has been authoring all along. Lives and faith communities rooted in justice, mercy, humility, and love. John's telling of the Christmas story begins with the Word. This Word has always been and will always be. It's around us and within us. It's in you, right now in 2020 and always. The story didn't start here, and it won't stop here either. Look up, look around, look in, look out. There is nothing outside the reach of the Word. The Word that is ever illuminating, the Word that is always breathing life, the Word that forever grants hope to the weary. May you know, trust, and experience the Word made flesh. May your congregation know, trust, and experience the Word made flesh. And may this Word, this perspective granter, this Jesus, forever remain the center of our Christmas and the center of our lives. Amen.